Hello, everybody! Welcome back once again to yet another episode, another installment, another chapter in the podcast Morning Drew. You know who it is, your host, Andrew, aka Tank. What's up, dudes? How are you? I'm doing alright. It's just gonna be me today. The restaurant where I work is back open for indoor dining, as are most of, if not all of the restaurants here in Southern California, at 25% capacity. But it's open enough for them to bring your boy back. And right out of the gate, they scheduled me for 6 calendar days of this coming week. So, although I do enjoy the editing process and I do enjoy talking with my friends, the episodes of Morning Drew, where I talk to my friends, tend to be upwards of 2 to 3 hours long that I take the hacksaw to bring down to a more chewy, morsel-sized 1 hour, give or take. But the editing process is enormously time-consuming and honestly a bit exhausting. Worth it for me because I enjoy it and I enjoy my friends and I enjoy the end product most of the time. Actually, I like every episode that I've done with my friends. It's the ones that I'm by myself where I'm most critical of. But that's beside the point. The point is that it's just me this time because I don't want to have to spend too much time cleaning this sumbitch up. It's also been a while. It's been a few weeks since you heard from your boy since he spit it from the dome. I've been doing okay. Like I said, restaurants are back in LA. Today was my first day back. It was fine. I was really worried my uniform was not going to fit because, as has been a running theme in this pod, your boy's a little chunky. But I managed to crash diet the week leading up to today, and I squeezed into those some bitches. Still a little snug, but with the reintroduced physical activity and me continuing to be disciplined with my diet, that should not be an issue for terribly long. But yeah, I spent most of today there. It was very slow. It rained, so not a lot of people were coming out, especially since half of our business would hypothetically be outdoor. And of course, that's the section they gave me. I don't know if a lot of my listeners have worked in restaurants and if they know a ton of the lingo. Basically, when you wait tables, they give you a section, which is the tables you're responsible for. At the restaurant where I work, you're supposed to only get a maximum of 3 tables at a time. And today, they were like, "Hey, Andrew, so welcome back. Here's the worst section in the world. It's only 2 tables, which it has its ups and downs. And also, it's outside. And also, it's not covered. So, it's raining. Good luck." So I didn't get a lot of business. I honestly didn't mind because I'm not as desperate for money as I was this time last year. Last year, at this time, I was scrambling for shifts because I was kind of in a hoarder mentality of like, I need to have all the money, I need to pay all my debts, I need to pay the rent, I need to have money just in case my partner can't pay their rent, and then I also need to have more money on top of that to put in my savings and money. But since then, I'm at a point where I don't need to be as desperate. And so, yeah, I work 6 days this week, but I'm kind of just taking the approach of I'm happy to see some people I haven't seen in a while, and I'm happy to get my steps in. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. I just walked around the inside of the restaurant, like basically in a big circle. Just walk into the kitchen. Oh, there's no food to run. Okay. Walk into the other side of the restaurant that's still closed. Whoa. Walk over to my section to see if I got sat. I didn't get sat. Big surprise. Walk back into the kitchen. Oh, no food to run. And then it was 4 hours later. Not entirely true. I did get a couple tables because the sun came out at one point. Another thing with restaurants is people, when they approach the host stand, will be asked, "Hey, do you want a table or a booth?" And most of the time they're honest. They say, "I want a booth." Sometimes they say they don't care, and then they are taken to a table, and then they say, "Ooh, actually, I'd rather have a booth." I assume the best in others, so I just figure it's because they just don't like the table or they weren't thinking about it. But malicious folks will be big brained and say, oh, if they take me back there, then I'm already back there. And so they're going to give me a booth right away. If I tell them a booth immediately, then they're going to tell me to sit and wait for a booth to open up. They're going to put me in the queue, but I don't want to be in the queue. And so they just lie. And a lot of times they get their way, which is why they continue to do it. It's also not that big a deal. But with outdoor dining, they basically do the same thing, except they have more options to lie about. Like I had a table, they sat down, I brought them their drinks, and then as I like setting their drinks down, they're like, "Hey, actually, fuck this. We want to go inside." And it's like, okay, well, I can't blame you. And that happened a couple times, and I'm kind of just anticipating that happening a lot. But that's the nature of the industry, I guess. Nothing personal. So I got a busy ass week ahead of me. I'm going to be working every single day, all lunch shifts, thankfully. I used to prefer the night shift because I got to sleep in and I made more money. You really do make more money in the night shift. People are more willing to spend money at the end of the day and also get more drinks and desserts and stuff than they do during the lunch shift. But honestly, the lunch shift is a little more chill. And I also have my night times available to me. Like for right now, I can record this podcast. I would have had to have waited until like 1 in the morning if I had a night shift. Or I could have done it early in the day, but man, to heck with that. Straight to heck. One of my coworker buddies, his name's Oliver, shout out Oliver, he said he checked the podcast out. If you happen to be listening, buddy, I appreciate you. Thanks for supporting your boy. He said he listened to part of the one with Michael, where we talked about Tom Brady. I hope that I did not turn him away with my strong opinions of Mr. Brady and how bad he is. Not at football. He's fantastic at football. He has proven himself to be a wonderful football man. It's just everything else that I'm not a fan of. I've got my new setup here. I mentioned last week. I got a standing desk. I'm up here standing up, baby. I'm on my feet. I fidget by nature. I'm a fidgety guy. It's lovely to be able to just like wiggle my butt around and like squat and like dance around in place. And also, I understand that that's passive calories being burned, so it's good for overall health. I just like it more. Like if I could, I would pick up my microphone and just like pace around my kitchen, but I don't know if that's entirely appropriate. But that's not the only thing I changed about my setup here. I've got this pop filter that I dug out, and I also invested a whole $12 into some sound panels, whatever they're called, little styrofoam sound absorbers. I just super glued them to a piece of cardboard that I had and leaned them up against the wall. So I'm hopeful that makes a difference. I mean, a lot of the issues I have with my audio is just that I have a cheap microphone. And who knows, maybe when Mr. Biden finally gets around to giving me my fucking money, I might put some of it towards a better audio rig. But for the time being, we're working with what we have available to us. And I'm hopeful that it's a fine product that you're happy consuming. I've got my funny lamp here. I love the temperature of the light. It's like the warmth of it. It's like if it has more of a yellowish hue or a white hue. This one has a very warm hue to it. But because of the way it's positioned, the light bulb just comes screaming at my fucking face. So I put like a little paper towel over it to try to remedy that, and it works pretty well. I only worry that like it actually does get temperature hot to the touch. Not so hot that I'm worried about it combusting, but enough that that one paranoid part of my head is like, paper towel, man, yeah. You know those catch fire, right? You know those ignite? I'm like, you shut the hell up. It's not going to ignite. But what if it does? It won't. But what if it does? Shut up. But yeah, that's been me. I'm still in the in-between phase of getting pricked for the vaccine. I felt so special when I first got it, but now I'm realizing that a lot of the people that work at the restaurant have gotten vaccinated. It makes me happy because it makes me think that we're going to be on the other side of all this pretty soon. But it makes me feel like a bit of a doofus for having that first day of school energy, excited to show off my cool new fucking JanSport and being like, check it out, dudes. And everyone's like, yeah, we all got JanSports, dude. And I'm like, yeah, duh. Yeah, I wasn't excited about my JanSport at all. Takes my Band-Aid off hella slow. I definitely was not wearing this band-aid for the last 2 weeks to show off to my friends. I'm due for my next dose next week, which I'm excited for. The sooner I can get to the point where it's past, don't do this until this amount of time after this happens, then I'll be happy. I just want to go to a fucking diner, dude. I just want to eat sloppy sandwiches and drink black coffee while a weird old lady calls me sugar or honey. We'll get there. I had one coworker I was speaking with about the vaccine. They're like, "You got vaccinated?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I got it." He's like, "Man, I don't think I need it. I've been out here going dancing for the last year. I've been doing everything and whatever. I never got it, so I'm wondering if I'm just immune because I eat vitamins." And of course, my gut instinct is to argue with him on the matter, but he didn't get it, so he's correct about that. He's correct in that he didn't get it despite living his life. There's the chance that he got it and never felt it and gave it to a bunch of other people, but I don't know that. I didn't go dancing with him. He was saying it as if I was supposed to be like proud of him and be like, "Wow, you're the I Am Legend guy who's like immune." Wait, is that the correct movie I'm thinking of? Oh, nuts. This is gonna bother me. There's a horror movie where they're immune. Fuck. Well, I'm never gonna remember. But I just had to like bite my tongue and be like, "Hey, you know what? If enough of us get the vaccine, you won't have to take it because herd immunity." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I heard, so I don't think I'm gonna take it at all." And I'm like, "Hey, good on you, man. Yeah, you don't. It's good that everyone else is doing it, so you don't have to." He's like, "Yeah, man, but the thing is, I don't think I need it anyway because I don't think I'm gonna get it." You're probably not gonna get it at this point. But that was kind of a frustrating moment. That's that, I think. I guess I could move on to what I'm digging. I'm digging a couple of things. What did I write down? I don't know if I want to talk about that particularly because there's not a lot of fun or jokes to be wrought from it. I just wrote down some stuff about my current health regimen. I've been fasting, if that's anything. Fasting in that, like, occasionally I just won't eat for a day. And then on the days that I do eat, I just eat, I guess, keto, technically. I just don't eat carbs. Just the definition of that diet, less than 20 grams. Fiber doesn't quite count, so you can eat most vegetables. Like, I eat a lot of broccoli. Well, not so much broccoli that it would take me out of ketosis, but it is a steady part of my diet. Most days I am having at least a serving of broccoli. It's pretty easy, especially once I developed the mentality of like, just don't eat. Like fasting in particular makes keto much easier because it's like I'm not eating today, and then my body tells me I'm hungry, and I'm like, oh well. So yeah, occasionally I just don't eat. I've chosen Fridays as the day where I most regularly don't eat, just because, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, I am participating in Lent this year, mostly as a means of practicing discipline. Part of Lent is you're not supposed to eat meat on Fridays. From what I understand, the origin of that is originally they had you fast on Fridays, on both Wednesdays and Fridays, if I'm not mistaken. That became impractical. I don't know the exact reasonings, but I understand that they switched to giving up luxuries on Friday and they settled on meat as the big luxury. And that's part of the reason why fish is not considered meat when it comes to the Friday ritual because fish was so cheap at that time that it was not considered a luxury. And so when they said don't eat meat, they were like, but fish is, I can eat fish, right? They're like, yeah, of course you can eat fish. What the fuck? That shit's cheap, dude. So I decided to do the old school method and just not eat it all on Fridays. I've also started weighing myself every single day. That shit sucks. I mean, it's cool after you've done it for a few days in a row and you see the numbers going down. And every day it's a very small amount. It's like zero point 0.2, zero point 0.5 pounds. But it's those initial two weigh-ins, especially when this hypothetical person like sees a much higher number than they like to see, and it's like, oh heavens, oh mercy. But I'm trying to be better, and part of that is working with what you have in front of you currently. And so there's no use beating yourself up because it's a high number on the scale. It's like, okay, well, I see it, I recognize it. I am going to do something about it, so I shouldn't feel too bad because it's not going to be like this for terribly long. And that's helped with me. If any folks out there are struggling with their appearance or self confidence or whatever, I recommend doing it. It's going to hurt at first, but knowing where you are is very helpful in taking steps towards correcting it if you are dissatisfied with it. And making it a daily habit is also, I think, pretty useful because if the number's going up, then you know it's like, oh, okay, well, apparently I'm eating too much or not exercising enough, so I need to make that adjustment. And maybe not every day. I don't know. That seems obsessive, but weighing yourself regularly if you're worried about it is, I think, a pretty good habit. I've certainly benefited from it so far. But it's also easy when you know you're going to lose weight because it's like, how could I have gained weight? I literally ate a fucking a can of tuna and some broccoli yesterday. Like, what could I have possibly done? Like, woken up in the middle of the night and crushed a box of Pop Tarts or something? I don't even have Pop Tarts. But yeah, I know I'm not going to stick with it forever just because I'm being realistic about it, but I'm writing out for now. I'm hopeful to hit a reasonable size. So that my main goal is to just comfortably fit into the clothes I currently own, just because I don't want to buy more, and I also like the clothes that I own, and also just being a little more mobile and being able to like run without running out of breath. Or I'm at an age where it matters, so I'm taking it seriously. That's just what's been on my mind this past week. I eat a lot of tuna. I eat a lot of chicken. The other day I just made ground beef and broccoli and ate that. That was fun. You can eat stupid food. Not everything has to be a recipe. Like, you could just make some ground beef and some broccoli and eat that. And it's delicious. That's been helpful to me. Oh man, not too long ago, I watched a video. This dude ranked all the different ways you can make chicken wings in the air fryer. He tried with baking soda because that's supposed to really dry out the skin, which will make it crispy. All of the other ways he did don't really fit what I'm doing. Like, he breaded them once, which it's like, oh, you breaded them and they came out crispy? Gee, wow. Who knew that breading them would make them crispy? Amazing. He also used flour, which has carbs, and so I'm like, I'd prefer to not do that. And then one or two other ways that were fucking stupid. But the baking soda one, I was like, I have baking soda. I can give that a whirl. And I did it. They came out fine. They were certainly, like, juicy, and the flavor was nice. I used some nice seasoning on them. The skin was still a little more squishy than I would have liked. And also, I got fresh wings. They were not frozen. Somehow there's always one drumette that is just all cartilagey and tendony and fucking gross and super thick and ugly. And I always get so mad about that. That shit sucks. Out of the dozen wings I bought, I can only eat 10 of them because two of them are these like fucking Incredible Hulk tendony, sinewy, ugly, horrible monster wings. I also feel bad because I shared the wings with Angela and she got stuck with both of the shitty ones. And she was like, "Oh, this is raw inside." And I looked and it was just a big ass tendon and I was like, "Fuck off." Not to her, but to the chicken. I wouldn't have wanted to like trick her, pull that move where I take all the good pieces for myself and I was like, "Oh, I saved you some." I just want to play fair, man. But yeah, with the reintroduction of physical activity and also these dietary habits that I've adopted, this weight is kind of falling off, and I'm excited about it. And as long as I don't cave, which I kind of doubt I will, because I've had a few moments of temptation where I didn't really have any issue, just shrug and be like, I'm good. Like Angela, a lot of times will treat herself when she works late and get Jack in the Box. And your boy loves a munchie meal. And so she'll text me like, "Do you want anything?" And it's like, of course, my finger is hovering over the Munchie Meal autofill feature, but I'm like, "No, I'm okay." And I'll either just not eat, or I'll just have a big cup of water, or I'll have a can of tuna. And it's worked out pretty well for me so far. It's been a couple weeks now, and I'm feeling okay. Ooh, baby. We got a Costco membership the other day. Boy, howdy, your boy loves Costco. Your boy loves Costco. That shit rules. I love that place. We went, like, we had a grocery list, but of course, you go up and down the aisles and you see all the fun stuff that they have, and it's like, fuck! Love this place. I forgot that they had the $5 rotisserie chickens, dude. Holy hell. I didn't get one last time, but it's still so exciting that I'm like, but I have a membership. I could go wherever. I could just go get a chicken, dude. In the past, I've bummed other people's memberships. And so anytime I went, I'm like, I need to get everything I'm getting because this is the only time I'm going to be here for who knows how long. But I've got my own membership now. I can go whenever I want. I can get fucking one cookie. They can't stop me. So that's been exciting. I learned that there are two types of Costco's. There is Costco Wholesale, which is the main one, the one that you all probably know, and if you're like me, love. But there's also the Costco Business Center, which specializes in small businesses or restaurants. So they don't carry everything that they carry at Costco Wholesale, but they do have bulk other stuff that if you use them is there. If you're crazy enough, you can get a 40-pound sack of potatoes. There was once a time where I might have indulged. I would not eat 40 pounds of potatoes currently. What they do have that my household might do is you can get like a 20-pound box of pasta. And like pasta doesn't go bad that often, and we go through a lot of pasta. It's easy, it's cheap. You boil it, you put something in it, you eat it, it's great. Oh, you can buy the big like convenience store wall-sized refrigerators there at the Costco Business Center. And it's open to anyone with a membership. And the reason I bring it up is because there's a Costco Business Center like right up the street from where I live that I never knew about. I knew about the one a little further out that's in Burbank. It's right next to where I work in that vicinity, and so I was like, "Oh, if it's fine. I'll just anytime I get off work, I'll pop in there, get a roto chicken." But then I looked it up, and I had driven by it a bunch of times, and I assumed that what they meant by Costco Business is that it was like the headquarters where the paperwork gets filed, and I was like, "That's interesting." But no, it's a full blown Costco. Oh, and they still have a food court. Oh, how could I forget about the food court? That $1.50 hot dog and a Coke? Fuck off. One of the best deals you can get. And the business center has the food court, which is crazy, and it's right up the street from me, so I would go just for that, man. What a fool I am for not taking better advantage of that. But I know it's there now, so I'm certainly going to start taking advantage of that. Let's rank supermarkets. God, I love Costco. That might be number one. It sucks that you have to have a membership, but it's kind of worth it if you get the Gold Star one. The lady at Costco, when we were getting our membership, actually baited and switched me a little bit. She convinced me to get the executive membership because it's like you can like get cash back and rack up rewards and stuff. It's also just like a regular credit card. Well, she convinced me to get that plus the credit card one, which after the fact I realized I was not thrilled with. I didn't know that's what I was signing up for exactly. But yeah, and she was like, yeah, and also we'll pay you. So it's the same price as the Gold Star membership. And I was like, oh, well, then yeah, let's do it. And then as soon as I started signing paperwork, I realized, oh, fuck, I'm signing up for a credit card. Sure. But I didn't appreciate being a little bit deceived. But it's going to work out fine. Oh, yeah, and then, of course, the whole fucking clickbait title of that situation, and she's like, cool, and you'll receive the Costco gift card with the money difference that makes it the same price that you can only use at Costco in the mail in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, it's one of these situations. Okay, you're lucky I was planning to come to Costco anyways. I've got one other thing written down here. This one I discussed with Angela as well as my friend Noel. Me personally, when I'm getting ready to go out and do something, I have an idea of when I want to leave. So, more often than not, I am ready at the time that I want to leave. And I don't like to rush people, and I don't want to be controlling or anything like that. And I also live with a person who does not like to be rushed and who does not like to have their time managed for them. But it begs the question of what ready means. What does it mean to be ready? To me, when I'm ready, I'm fully dressed. My bladder and my butt are empty of any waste, and I have my shoes on, and my pocket's full, and I am ready to literally open the door and walk out. I'm ready. Other people, it seems, think that to be ready is to be ready to make their way to the door to finish getting ready. So I'll be sitting, waiting because I'm ready, twiddling my thumbs, getting my thumb cardio in. A hypothetical person who will remain nameless for now will be like, okay, I'm ready. I'm like, cool. So I will get up and I'll get by the door and put my hand on the doorknob. And they will turn around, go use the restroom, come back, feed the cat, grab a protein bar, come back to where the door is, sit down, start putting their shoes on. And it's like, hey man, you said you were ready. And they're like, I was ready. And I'm like, clearly not. And they're like, are you getting mad at me? You're not getting mad at me, are you? Because I'm going to get mad at you if you're mad at me. It's like, fuck. Relationships. And I threw it up on Twitter at Drew J. Fahey, if you're interested. I basically described a very minimal version of that where it's just like, hey, I tell you I'm ready. I don't have my shoes on. Am I ready? And everybody who participated in the poll agreed that being ready does not include shoes because the shoes are by the door. And so if I'm ready, oh yeah, I'm ready. Let me go to the store, put my shoes on, and we'll leave. And man, I just don't vibe with that in the slightest. Noel in particular, my buddy Noel, shout out Noel. He was a guest last week. He did great. I hope you all listened to it. If you haven't, please check it out. We had a lot of fun. Mentioned that the shoes are by the door. So it's like, well, I'm headed that way anyway, so I'm ready to go. And part of leaving is putting your shoes on. I don't think he used that exact words, but that's how I understood what he was saying. It's like, I'm ready to leave, so now we're leaving, and part of leaving is putting on your shoes. Also, he mentioned that I'm going to put my shoes on and then keep stomping around on my carpet and get my carpet all dirty with my outside shoes. No way. And that I get. Growing up in a household that had carpet, I get that. If I had my shoes on, I could not go past the linoleum, the non-carpeted areas. Now, in my current living situation, I do not have carpet. I only have linoleum and ceramic tiles, I think. And so I can stomp around in my shoes if I want. I still don't. I prefer to take my shoes off when I'm home, but that's a whole different discussion. He raises a few good points. I can see that. But for me personally, when I say I'm ready, I'm legitimately ready to open the door and move out. No adjustments. So what do you guys think? This will be my first time doing a crowd participation segment. When you say that you are ready, do you have your shoes on, or is putting on your shoes part of the leaving process? Tweet it at me at Drew J. Fahey, or leave it in the comments if you're listening on YouTube, because I want to know. Because this one, normally I don't feel passionately about things very often. I'm usually pretty roll with the punches. I try to see both sides of the coin. If ever I take a strong stance on something, it is because I think it is funny to take a strong stance. It's boring to be like, oh, I see what you mean. That has gotten me in trouble because sometimes people think I have a hard opinion on certain matters. And when it comes to real world execution of that matter, they are surprised to see that I am not as rigid as I came off. Because it's like, no, I was just doing that for the discussion we were having. But yeah, I'm curious to know what you all think, because I'm feeling pretty certain that my way of thinking is correct in this case. And while I'm at it, tweet at me stuff that you're digging, or leave it in the comments. Part of this whole project is to talk to my friends. And like, if I had to guess, just based on the amount of views and listens and stuff I get there's maybe 15 of us, probably less, maybe more. I can think of 5. So I know there's a couple of us that are in the Drew-niverse. Oh, that's clever. So hit me up, tweet at me, or leave it in the comments. What are some things that you're digging? What are some things you think I might dig? Do you have a funny joke that you wrote, or do you have a thought about a joke I wrote? Maybe you hard disagree with something I said. That'll be funny. Maybe I have to defend myself in the comments a little bit. I know you all borderline crucified me because of my opinion of Dr. Pepper. Don't think I forgot that. I appreciate you all for sticking around. It means a lot to me. Even when people say that they checked it out, the fact that people are coming back and listening is heartwarming. It makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing and that I should keep going. It's very motivating, and I appreciate you all. That being said, why don't we tell some jokes? That's part of the point of all this, after all, is it not? I talk about my day, I talk about what I'm digging, dude, and then I tell some jokes. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's tell some jokes. Let's see. This past week was similar to weeks previous, where I've really been struggling with waking up and getting in front of my writing station and doing the damn thing. I get myself there more days than not, but it's been tough. It's been a very, let's just put points on the board type of week. Like most days, I only wrote 5 jokes, 3 jokes, 4 jokes, yeah. 1 or 2 days, I wrote more. That's not to say that I didn't write jokes that I think were funny, but compared to weeks previous, I've certainly been more productive. But we're working with what we have in front of us, and this is what I have in front of me. So let me tell you some jokes that I wrote. Oh, I keep talking about this writing group. I know I spoke about it or plugged it briefly in one of the very earliest episodes, but it's called the Right 10 Club. It's through the Hot Breath Comedy Network or Hot Breath Podcast, whatever you call it. It's hosted by this guy, Joel Byers, based out of Atlanta. He's a comedian and a podcaster. He's awesome. I definitely recommend if you like going inside baseball when it comes to comedy or listening to comedians talk about comedy and listening to advice for up and comers. If you've ever thought about doing comedy or comedy writing or anything of that nature, or if you just want to kind of peek into the process, every morning at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on Facebook, sometimes there's 40 to 50 of us. We're all there and we spend 10 minutes writing a joke inspired by a random word, and then Joel reads them, and we vote in the Facebook comments, and whoever votes wins, and they kind of just get bragging rights for the day. They get a little meme made out of the joke. It's really fun, and it's great to use that momentum to dive back into your own material or continue to write your own jokes. I tend to jump into the headlines and see what's there. Another reason why I struggled to write this week was because the headlines were all real. No excuses. But no, I just wanted to shout out Joel Byers and the Right 10 Club and all them, because this has really been a fantastic tool to help me get back on track with my creative ventures. So today I participated. The word of the day was hospital. So I wrote a couple of jokes. I took my dog to the vet because he looked like hell. Turns out he just looks like that. I wrote this joke kind of trying to flesh out on that. I said, when I was a kid, they took me to the hospital because it looked like something was wrong. Turns out I'm just ugly. It's the same joke. And this is the one I ended up posting. I said, I told my friend I did not want to visit them because the hospital makes me uncomfortable. They said, I'm pretty uncomfortable too. It's kind of why I'm here. With the child tax credit, parents will be eligible for up to $3,600 per child. Suddenly my parents don't seem as annoyed about me moving back home this past year. Of course, I'm way too old. They couldn't do. They couldn't do it, but would that be funny? Let's see. A couple days ago, the word of the day was grind. I said I was confused as to why my morning brew tasted like dirt. But then I realized I must have accidentally bought ground coffee. Sit in it. Sit in the silence. You earned this, Andrew. This is what you did to yourself. Ground coffee. Okay, moving on. I grind my teeth at night. That way, I don't have to do too much work when I wake up and make my teeth coffee in the morning. That's just stupid. I tell people that I'm on my grind, but the truth is that I'm steeped in misery. Let's see. When the lockdown ends, people will have to prove they've been vaccinated to attend live events. They can use a QR code, they can use a smartphone app, or they can just show the 150 tweets they made saying they got vaccinated. I'm guilty of that. It's exciting. You're kind of a part of history, you know? It's like polio all over again. Okay, this one I liked so. I think the word of the day was throw. I've never been any good at sports. The only time I use perfect form is when I throw in the towel. My wife and I like to role play to keep things interesting. Then, when our nerdy friends leave, we get to have sex. Roll for initiative. I rolled higher. I rolled higher, so I came first. They say beggars can't be choosers, but every day I choose to beg my wife for sex. The restaurant asked me to choose soup or salad. I said, if it's so super, then just bring it out already. A surfer will always seem to be in a good mood, even if they aren't. I call it the illusion of choice. And I think I'm getting to repeat jokes. I'm getting to old joke territory. Let me see if there's anything I missed, if there's anything I want to tell. I have so much anxiety that when I was young, I learned how to pace before I even learned how to walk. Man, I'm still a little salty that some of my jokes that I wrote with a Cheeb thought he didn't land. Like this one where I like to snuggle with my wife after sex, but the commute from the brothel to my house is such a drag. Prostitutes. System of a Down have a song called Toxicity. I thought it was about politics. Turns out it's referring to their fan base's unwashed sweatshirts. Before I leave the house, I check for my phone, my wallet, and my keys. The only thing I don't check is my attitude at the door. Oh, you can't stop me. All right, I think I'll close on this one just because, I'm not going to sit here and scroll through my jokes forever. So, in school, I finished nearly every class I needed to graduate. I finished English, I finished science, I finished art, and the rest? Well, the rest is history. And I think I'm going to put a bow on it there. We're getting to a point where I'm going to have to chop this down, and it'll be a nice solo bite-sized length. Thanks for sticking around this episode, gang, with just me. I know I kind of rambled about my day at work and my stupid diet that I'm self-conscious about because it's a fad diet and no one cares. But I'm excited about it, and that's the whole point of this podcast, is for me to kind of gush about things I'm excited about. So next week, I mentioned I am getting that vaccine, and they say that once you get it, you're supposed to be pretty under the weather for the following day or so. And so I'm anticipating that. So I don't plan on booking any guests. Boy, don't I just sound so professional saying I'm going to book guests. I'm just going to fucking text my buddy. But I don't plan on doing it because I'm not sure I'm going to be in the mood to edit. So there's a good chance I'm going to post a bonus episode that I have on the back burner. It's basically just a chunk of the episode I did with my friend John back in episode, I believe, 8. We had a really fun discussion because he asked me a good question, but it was just a little out of place within the context of the rest of the episode, so I cut it out, but I held on to it for this exact occasion, so I'll probably put that up next week. I'll probably still tack on some jokes at the end, some fresh jokes, just to keep me honest. Just brace yourself for that again. Who knows? Maybe something else will happen. Maybe I'll feel fine. Maybe I'll talk to a friend anyway and just save that for the week following. Who knows? But just giving you a heads up now, there's a chance that next week is a bonus ep. That's all I have to say, really, gang. Nothing else comes to mind. Oh, I never raked the grocery stores, did I? Costco, for sure, is probably the number one. I really love Target. Technically not a grocery store, but they have groceries there, so I'm going to count it. I love Target. And let's go with Safeway, just because it has the hometown appeal. They've got pretty good packaged sushi. I think they make it fresh there most of the time, and if not, it's still pretty good. They have Safeway locations that make it fresh, and there are no Safeways in Los Angeles. It's basically Vons. Vons, I don't think, is as good as Safeway, despite being part of the same corporation. But yeah, I'll close it there. My thanks to you once again. I am just so grateful for you all. Please, leave those comments and stuff. I would love to hear from you. I miss you all so much. We're almost on the other side of this. I hope you're all getting pricked with the vaccine, if you want to, if you're comfortable with that. But I promise you'll feel better if you do, and we'll be able to go to diners in the middle of the night again. When I'm at a diner, I like to drink coffee or something like that. But you know what's important? You know what's important? What you have to drink? You have to drink water. Water is just so good for you. Is it boring? To some. Put a lemon in there. It's going to change your life.